Everything you need to know about rooms in Revit: boundaries, tags, color schemes, and schedules. Hello, and welcome to our new video. Today we're talking about rooms. Let's get started. A room is a subdivision of space within a building model based on elements such as walls, floors, roofs, and ceilings. These elements are defined as room bounding. Revit refers to these room bounding elements when computing the perimeter, area, and volume of a room. Many elements in Revit have a room bounding parameter that can be turned on or off, allowing them to define the boundaries of a room. You can also use room separation lines to further subdivide space where no room bounding elements exist. When you add, move, or delete room bounding elements, the room's dimensions update automatically. Rooms are located under the Architecture tab in the Room and Area panel. When we click on Room, we can see that the Modify Place Room tab becomes active. When we click on Highlight Boundaries, a window appears saying, Room Bounding Elements are highlighted, and we can see that all elements defining the boundaries are highlighted in orange. We click Close. When we move to the space where we want to place the room, we can already see a preview of how the room tag will look. This means that when we place a room, the room tag will be added automatically. If we move to the right, outside the room, we can see the message Not Enclosed, which means the area is not within boundaries. If we don't want the tag to be placed automatically, we can turn it off by disabling Tag on Placement. In that case, only the room will be placed without a tag. However, in this case, we will keep Tag on Placement enabled. Another option we can set before placing the room is the upper limit. It is currently set to second floor, but we can select any level we want, depending on the situation. Next, we have Offset, which defines how far above the selected limit the room height will extend. We also have the Tag Orientation. It is currently set to horizontal. The tag stays horizontal regardless of view rotation. We can also select Vertical. The tag text is vertical or model. The tag rotates with the model orientation. This is how the vertical option looks. If we enable Leader, we can see that a leader line appears. We also have the Room option. Currently, we only have New. The Room field defines whether we are creating a new room or placing an existing, unplaced room from the project. If there are rooms that exist in the project but are not placed in the model, they can be selected from this list and placed in a view. Let's turn off the leader and select the horizontal orientation. Now we will finally place the room. We can change both the room number and the room name. We will set the number to 1 and the room name will be Entry. Now we continue placing rooms. We can see that the numbering continues from the previous room. Let's move on. We can see that this entire area is currently one room. However, we don't want it to be like that. We want the spaces to be separated even though there is no physical wall or boundary. We will solve this in the following way. We select Room Separator and draw a line where we want to divide the space, like this. Here we will also create a separated room. Now let's select Place Room again. We can see that these 3 spaces are now separated, and we can assign a room to each of them independently. Here we will change the offset to 100. We place the room. Now we set the offset back to 0 and place the room again. Rooms can be placed one by one, but we can also click Place Rooms automatically. This command places rooms in all enclosed spaces in the current view. Finally, we will slightly adjust the position of the tags. If we drag the tag outside the room boundary, a leader line is automatically added. When the tag is moved outside the room boundary, Revit automatically adds a leader line connecting the tag to the room. If we disable the leader in the Properties panel, the tag returns inside the room. We also want the porch to be defined as a room. However, we can see that it says Not Enclosed. We will still place the room and then solve this by selecting Room Separator again. We will draw room separation lines along the slab edges to create a closed boundary. The 2 walls and these 2 lines that we have just added using the room separator now form the room boundaries. If we want to see in which spaces rooms are placed, we go to Visibility/Graphics, scroll down to Rooms, click the plus sign, and enable Interior Fill. We click OK, and now we can see a light blue color everywhere a room has been placed. When we hover the mouse over a room, two crossed lines appear. When we click them, the room is selected. Let's try it once again. The center point of the room can be moved. The room tag can also be moved independently. Now we will open this section. Room tags can also be placed in sections and elevations if the room is visible in that view. We will tag the rooms that are visible in this section. Let's also enable the interior fill for rooms here in the same way as before. We can see that for this room the upper limit is set to second floor and the limit offset is 100. Let's change it to first floor and see what happens. In that case, the room height becomes 100 centimeters above the first floor. Now we will change it back to second floor. Let's also try setting it to roof. We can see what happens. We will set the limit offset to 0 instead of 100. The leader is currently enabled here, so we will turn it off. Now we will set the upper limit back to second floor and return the limit offset to 100 as it was at the beginning. Actually, we will set the limit offset to 0. It is important to be careful with the limit offset because it affects the calculated room height and therefore the room volume. We return to the first floor. Actually, we go to the second floor and activate Place Room. We can see that these two spaces here are separated. The bedroom and the closet are currently defined as separate rooms. Let's say that we want their total area to be shown as one space. We can do this in the following way. We select the wall that currently acts as the boundary between the two spaces. In the Properties panel, under Room Bounding, we uncheck this box. Now we activate Room again and place the room. We can see that this is now treated as one single room. If we want them to be separate rooms again, we simply reverse the process. We select the wall and enable the room bounding parameter again. The room bounding parameter exists on many elements such as walls, floors, roofs, ceilings, columns, and even some families. The process works in the same way. Now we will add a room here as well. Let's automatically place the remaining rooms. Since we will create a color schedule, we will first assign names to all rooms. Once we finish that, we will add a color scheme. Under Room and Area, we click the arrow to open the panel drop-down. Here we can see color schemes. When we click it, the Edit Color Schemes dialog opens. The Edit Color Schemes dialog allows us to create, modify, and manage color schemes used to visually represent room data such as name, department, area, or other parameters. We can also open this dialog by clicking None under Color Scheme in the Properties panel. The difference is that if we open color schemes from the Room and Area panel, we are only editing the scheme definitions. If we open it through View Properties, the selected color scheme will also be applied to that view. Under Category, we will select Rooms. Here we can see that two schemes are available, Name and Department. We will choose Name. We can see that each room has been assigned a different color. The title is currently Room Legend, but we can change it if we want. We can also see that the colors are organized by name. If we click here, we can choose other options. For example, Area. When we select it, we get a pop-up message saying Colors Not Preserved. We can see that the scheme can be organized by value or by range. Let's select by range. Here we can change the value from 20 to 5, for example. Under Edit Format, we can define how the values will be displayed. We can also add more range variations, and depending on which range a room belongs to, it will be colored accordingly. Let's also check how it looks when we select Number. Now, let's try Perimeter. Here the options are similar to Area. Again, we choose by range and add several variations. We will change the values to 5, 10, and 15. Now we will switch back to Name. We can also create a new scheme, rename the existing one, or delete it. Let's briefly check the other categories as well. If we select HVAC zones and choose Scheme 1, we can see the different parameters according to which colors can be assigned. Now let's look at spaces. Depending on what we need, we can choose the appropriate category and parameter. We will now return to Rooms and the Name scheme, and click OK. We can see that the colors have now been applied. We will do the same on the second floor. We choose Rooms, then Name, and click OK. Now we will place the legend. We go to the Annotate tab and click Color Fill Legend. We will place it approximately here. If we select the legend and click Edit Scheme, we can modify the scheme here as well. Let's change this color slightly to make it a bit darker. Here we will change the pattern from solid fill to crosshatch, and we will darken the color a little. We click OK, and we can see that the change has been applied. Now we will return it to the original settings. Next, we will select the scheme again and go to Properties, then Edit Type to make a few adjustments. Here we will change this value to 3 and click Apply. We can see the change immediately. Now we will also change this value to 3. Of course, the other settings can also be adjusted depending on our preferences. For example, we will reduce the text size to 3 and the title text size to 4. Then we click OK. Now we will add the legend on the second floor as well. Another thing we can do is classify the rooms by department. We will do it like this. We select the bedrooms and under identity data we type bedroom in the department field. Next, we select the bathrooms and type bathroom under identity data. On the first floor, we will do the same. For the toilet, we will also assign the bathroom department, meaning we will use the same existing category. Let's also assign living to the living rooms. Now we enable color scheme, and instead of name, we select department. For bathroom, we will choose a blue color. We can see that these rooms are now colored. We need to disable the interior fill for rooms. We go to Visibility Graphics, find rooms, and turn it off. On the second floor, we will apply the same scheme. Now we can see that only the rooms within a assigned department are colored. The others remain without color because they do not belong to any department. Finally, we will switch the scheme back to name. Click Apply, then OK. We will do the same on the first floor. The next step is to create a schedule. We right-click on Schedules/Quantities and select Rooms. Now we will add the parameters that we want to appear in the schedule. First, we add area. Next, name, and we move it above. Then we add number and move it to the first position. We will also add upper limit and move it as well. Of course, you can add any parameters you need, depending on your workflow. For now, these will be sufficient. If we want to see exactly where a particular room is located in the model, we can select it here and choose Highlight in Model. The room will then be highlighted in the model. This command helps us quickly locate the room. Let's try it once again. Now we will place everything on a sheet. First, we place the first floor plan and the schedule. Next, we do the same for the second floor. At the moment, all rooms are displayed in the schedule on both sheets. However, we can adjust the settings so that each sheet only shows the rooms that belong to that particular sheet. To do that, we return to the schedule, go to Filter, choose Filter by Sheet, and click OK. Now the schedule displays information only about the rooms visible on each sheet. However, we do not want that right now, so we will return it to the previous settings. Now we go back to the first floor plan. We will demonstrate how to delete a room. If we select the room tag and delete it, we receive a warning stating that we deleted the tag, but not the room itself. If we activate Tag Room and hover over the space again, we can see that the room still exists even though the tag was deleted. Now we will select the room itself. We know it is selected when we see the two diagonal cross lines. We will delete it. We receive another warning saying that the room has been deleted from the view, but it still exists in the project. When we return to the schedule, we can see that this room is now marked as not placed. We click on the row of that room and choose Delete to remove it from the project completely. If we now activate Tag Room, we can see that the entry is no longer detected here because the room does not exist anymore. Instead, the tag detects the stairs. So we need to place the room again. Then we change the number and the name. When we return to the room schedule, we can see that the new room appears at the bottom of the list. We want the rooms to be organized by number. To do that, we go to Sorting/Grouping, choose Sort by Number, and set it to Ascending. Now let's look at another situation. Suppose we do not want two separate living rooms here, but rather one large room. To do this, we delete the room separation line that we added at the beginning. We receive a warning. We can choose Delete Rooms, and both rooms will be deleted. We click OK. Now we can see that one room defines the entire space, while the other room that used to exist here is marked as redundant. We can see the same information in the schedule. We will delete the redundant room in the floor plan. However, to remove it completely from the project, we must also delete it from the schedule. Now we will try to assign the number 10 to this room. We receive a warning that there are duplicate room numbers. So we change it back to 19. Then we will change it to 9, because that number is currently missing. We can also see another room here in the schedule, so let's check where it is located. It seems that it was accidentally placed somewhere in the model, but we do not need it, so we will delete it. That's it. Rooms are one of the most important data elements in a Revit project. They are used not only to represent spaces in floor plans, but also to generate schedules, calculate areas, control building programs, and create visual diagrams using color schemes. Understanding how rooms work, including boundaries, tags, schedules, and color schemes, allows you to manage spatial information efficiently and produce clearer documentation for both design and presentation. We hope this tutorial helps you improve your Revit workflow. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials.